Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. We are going to the moon today. We're going to try to land on the moon today with our brave pilot, St. Tubbas Kerman, and his trusty engineer, TF2 Brum Brum Brum. As per our personal mission parameters, we do require a pilot and an engineer on all our missions at this point. We are going to require that. So this is a bit more of a heavy-duty moon lander than you may have to do in your own personal game, just because of the rules I've set. We're using the 2.5 meter components as a base. You saw me construct it in the last episode if you watched that, but you'll notice I did change the tanks over here. Instead of going with 6 1.25 meter boosters on the side, we've just got 3 of the 2.5 meter ones. I noticed at the end that my thrust to weight ratio was going to be a little too low. We were going to leave the launch pad too sluggishly, and that's fine. I mean, we still would have been going up because I think we had a thrust weight of like 1.16, and technically as long as it's over 1, that means your thrust is slightly more powerful than gravity. But then you're spending most of your fuel more or less just hovering as opposed to really getting somewhere. So around 1.3 seems to really be the sweet spot. So at 137 we should be going okay. So we're going to throttle up. We're going to use SAS to just lock vertically, and we are going to go. We are go with the Moon Lander Mark 1. Got some procedural nose cones over here. We got our procedural fairings as well. It's a little bit wider because it's got to go around the thuds. There might have been a way for us to actually come up with a cooler sort of fairing that, you know, let the thuds be exposed. Because the thud engines, which are the ones on the side over here, are actually quite aerodynamic. So they would have been more or less okay sticking out a bit. And that would have made this a little wider. Because I don't like, there's a bit of a fatter front here, which is going to catch a little bit more air, but we should be okay. Given the weight of the mission over here, I'll probably go a little bit more vertically than usual. So probably not aiming for 45 degrees at 15 kilometers, but we'll see. I'm going to throttle back a wee bit over here because our thrust weight is a little bit more than we need, and we don't want to start hitting atmospheric effects. We are still going up at an increasing rate, which is what we're looking at. I like that number. Probably go a little bit more than that. We will have to throttle back some more as these cans, as these fuel tanks start to empty more and more, and I don't like the fact that the textures don't line up here, then our thrust to weight will improve. Okay, it's time for us to go ahead and start our gravity turn over here. I don't have any air fins, but we do have great amounts of gimbling from our engines, so I think we're going to be fine. We're also a relatively short design, relatively squat, so there's less room for air to be hitting us from the side. So this was a bit later than I might normally want on the gravity turn, and I'm okay with that. So I'm going to manually sort of coach things to about 10 degrees, which I think we're very, very close to that. And I'm just going to go ahead and lock the SAS to prograde. It's surface prograde. Again, we're a little bit steeper than we would on many other ascents, but I'm going to be okay with that. Could potentially just encourage them to go over a little bit more. So St. Tubbas is mostly being instructed to keep the ship pointing in the direction that we're moving, and it just so happens that because of gravity, the direction that we're moving is slowly going to go closer to the horizon. And I'm just encouraging him a little bit more. It's maybe a little on the slow side. We will want to throttle back at this point, because we're going to, once we cross that 300 meter per second mark, we'll really start to get some air effects, some Mach effects and things. And I don't want to fight the air. I mean, yeah, the sooner you get out of thicker air, the better, but at the same time, if you're exerting a lot of energy just pushing against a wall of air, it's not really fuel efficient anyway. So we are supersonic at this point. We could probably pop up and far. Well, we're above Mach 1. And again, the speed of sound starts to vary with atmospheric thickness, but there we go anyway. But we didn't get, you know, those like white streaky things that we normally see at these speeds because we're thin enough air that we're not getting that as a problem. So we're at 15 kilometers and we're, I don't know, I can't tell, we're at 60 degrees, so about 15 degrees off of where we often want to be with a very aggressive gravity turn, but I'm okay with coming out a little steeper here. I think that's going to be fine. But now I'm going to just encourage it to continue to pitch over. Our time to apoapsis is growing, and actually I'm going to throttle back a bit here. Speed is growing pretty quickly. It's still growing fairly quickly. And yeah, I'm going to throttle back a bit more. Time to apoapsis, ideally, you want to keep this somewhere maybe between 30 seconds and a minute. If it goes above a minute, you're really going too steep. If you're going below 30 seconds, then you're spending more time in the atmosphere than you need. I'm going to throttle back to the point where this doesn't really climb anymore. It's dropping a bit, which really isn't what I'm looking for. Let's scooch up a bit more. There we go. I think that's fine. It might climb to over a minute, but that's okay. And this also, like, tells me, like, if this is climbing, it means we're still going to make it to space at some point. Because it means we're never catching up to our apoapsis, and our apoapsis is rising, which is good. If this is lowering, it means we're eventually catching up to our apoapsis, which is fine as long as our apoapsis is going to be in space. But this will guarantee we are going to get in space as long as it's going up, but if it goes up too quickly or too steep. And this means I can hit a happy medium where ideally I'm not growing my surface speed too much over here and getting too much air pressure. I'm very happy about this. Okay, actually, my nav ball just changed from surface mode to orbit mode. It's a bit risky. It's less risky if you use smartass because you can force it to always be using surface prograde. But if you're just using this SAS mode, when it does switch from surface to orbit, in theory, depending on your ship, you might suddenly lurch to the side in a way that makes the aerodynamics a bit unstable, but we're okay. By pitching down closer to the horizon, we are growing our apoapsis less quickly. We're actually sort of growing our periapsis some more and end up with a flatter sort of path over here. So our time to apo is dropping, but we've got more than enough time for apoapsis to get into space, so I'm going to be quite happy with this. Ideally, if you're going for an orbit, and I know I keep saying this, if you're going for an orbit to say 100 kilometers, ideally, you want the apoapsis number here to hit 100 kilometers at the exact time that the time to apoapsis hits 0, because that's pretty sweet. Then theoretically, if you've done it all right, then your periapsis will also hit the same balance number, more or less. That's assuming you're still burning and still changing your apoapsis. It's like a magic thing. Now, I'm a little concerned that this middle engine is going to get too hot. It has been burning for a very long time and will continue to burn. I wonder if I should just turn it off for a bit. There's no reason I couldn't. We're very close to having to stage the next level, but this could potentially start to overheat. It's not going to have to work that much longer. This is something the little engines don't really have a problem with. I think because you stage more frequently, because you can't have such as big tanks, but also maybe because they're slimmer, they've got more surface to weight, or surface to volume ratio. I don't know if that's really calculated. Oh my god, we could almost just burn directly to the moon in one shot, but we're not going to do that. We're going to insert ourselves into an orbit, circularize, and do that. Time to apoapsis is still dropping very slowly, in a way I'm super comfortable with. Very, 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 very comfortable with this. I think this is going to be a very nice, very sweet orbit. Really happy with this, actually. Oh, and there we go. And stage, and actually I can go and boost this to the max because we are going to need the extra thrust to weight over here. This is going to cause this engine to get a bit hotter, which is that meter is indicating. Our flat top here, luckily we're high enough that that's not a problem. But yeah, we're starting to get the overheat warning over here. And the time to apoapsis is still dropping. Actually, it's dropping a little faster here. You know what? I'm going to have to keep it on full burn for a little while just to ensure that everything goes hunky-dory. Okay, I'm really happy with this. Less happy with that. Could maybe put some radiators on here. I don't think we're actually going to overheat. But yeah, this engine has been burning since launch. It never got staged off, which is interesting. I could have turned it off partway through the lift and just had the outer engines work a little bit harder. I mean, it was lower throttle, which makes it doesn't create as much heat as before, but still. Overall, our path, like, this is looking very, very good in so many ways. Okay, our apoapsis is starting to climb very quickly right now just because of where we are in our peak. And there we are. Just bring it way down. And I mean, ideally, we'll turn it off. You don't actually radiate heat that efficiently in space. Space is cold, but because there's no, like, space is cold, but the only way to lose heat is by radiating away sort of infrared stuff, whereas actually the most common way to get rid of heat is, I want to say convection? Basically, the air touching your surface gets hot, and then that air gets carried away, and that's the way you generally cool things. So things actually cool down very slowly in space, but they can get very, very, very cold once you let them. Time to apoapsis is still going up relatively slowly, which is fine. Our apoapsis isn't particularly high, though. But I don't want to boost my engine any more than this. And we are continuing, like, again, at this rate, we'll never catch our apoapsis. So we can wait as long as we want to stop it there. And actually, our periapsis is growing nicely. We're going to be in a very, very flat curve. We probably could have gone a little bit more steeply. We're going to be in a very, very flat curve here at whatever altitude we might want. At a certain point, burning this slowly might become inefficient, but I don't know. This is amazing. I don't think I've ever done quite this flat before. I'm probably pushing the boundaries too much. I'm getting too obsessed with this really flat sort of gravity turn, yada, yada, yada. We are getting close to staging this engine, though. So at least we don't have to worry about the overheat anymore. So that's nice. And we are officially in space, and we are sort of orbital, although our periapsis is within the atmosphere. Our apo is going to climb quite quickly here just because of our height where we are. And we're pushing it up quite aggressively, and I'm okay with that. All right. We still need to circularize. Our periapsis isn't quite in the atmosphere. So let me go and quick save before time warp. And I don't know why MechJeb's not extending my solar panels. I have that option turned on. Maybe I should toggle it. That's probably what I should do. Under utilities here, auto deploy solar panels. Toggle, toggle. Well, it still hasn't clicked in. Because I like that feature. It means I don't forget things. It's not so bad on a manned one because you can always go out and do it manually. Sneeze there. Just got the mute button in time. Like the engine is glowing red hot. You can see the heat's not really dissipating, which is very accurate. Oh, and I have another one there. Used to the that satellite we launched a couple episodes ago, which had 3. Now we have 4, which is going to be more than enough. We can see our proper lander stuff over here, which is great. Next stage is that. Engine is that. That's correct. That's good. Okay, let's quick save again. And I'm just going to time warp until we get closer to the apoapsis. I mean, seriously, though. That's gorgeous. It'll do a very minimal burn just to get our peri above the atmosphere. Very minimal burn. Do. And actually, honestly, if we saw the moon rise, where are we? Where's the moon? This is the moon, yeah? Yeah. And where are we? Oh, we're way over here. Okay, never mind. Let's say we might be able to just make a beeline for the moon and not worry about calculating circularization, but not quite. Okay, 3 minutes away. It's going to be a tiny, tiny little burn. Under a minute. Just make sure we're facing prograde, and I'll go ahead for like the little scooch of power. If I'm not exactly at the apo, we'll raise the apo a bit more, but that's okay. Because the important thing is just to get the peri above 70. Boom! Excellent. Okay. Great stuff. Now, planner maneuver. It's going to be somewhere around here. Try not to click on the actual shortcutty nodey thing. There. Do that. I don't think we'll need much of an inclination change. Stretch that out until it gets an encounter. I mean, we just did this. Come on. Worried if I'll hit the fast forward thing and just get a big stupid time warp. Okay, and then we get at least some encounter there. So again, I'll do like the minimal amount of burn to get an encounter of some kind, and then we'll tune it to get as close as possible. So we got an encounter here, so we at least have to burn this much to get there. We'll want to burn probably a little bit more shortly afterwards, but I'll complete this burn, see where we are, and then do a fine tune. Always makes me very comfortable. In fact, we don't have to necessarily watch this. We get a sense of turn prograde, start to burn it around this time. That's all we really care about, honestly. But I'll go ahead and face the node. And actually, just fast forward now. We shouldn't get bothered with science. Maybe we'll do the thing where we hop over a weird biome for a second there. Yeah, I still have to do my freaking tundra thing to get rid of those pop-ups. We'll get there. Time warp again. Time warp again. Actually, no. Doesn't stick around long enough. By the time I EVA, it would be gone. 900 electric charge. We got 2 400s, and then the 100 in the capsule, I guess. Okay, slowing the time warp. Actually, I guess kill it completely so we can rotate towards the maneuver. And again, really, we can just eyeball this. When you see the moon rise, burn prograde. That'll get you there. So we don't really care about the maneuver, especially with the fact that we do have to stage partway through. And the next stage is a little slower, so the burn time is really not going to be accurate. The burn time is going to be longer than this. I'll probably start with about 45 seconds left to the node and plan. I'm assuming we'll have to burn for maybe about a minute and a half. Actually, it's probably going to be worse than that, because the next stage has about half the thrust weight as our current stage. So it's going to be twice this burn time. So 50 minutes, or seconds, 100 seconds, so 140. Yeah, about that. That's pretty good. Okay. I guess I could start the burn with 48 seconds left to the node, and that would sort of kind of do the math for me. Okay, we're coming around, coming around, coming around. We're facing the node. Good. Let's just fast forward until we get a little bit closer. But yeah, at about 50 seconds left before the node, I think that'll be the right time to start burning, especially since there'll be a tiny bit of delay between the stages, because I like to give them just enough space that I don't accidentally explode the other one. Okay, good. We're locked to the node mode, randomly clicking things. There we go, locked to the node, yes, and 50 seconds left. That looks pretty good to me. We'll start this burn. And stage. And just give it some space. This is 15 minutes now. It's not. There we go. Minute and a half with about 40 seconds left. That worked out pretty well. Realize in hindsight, I actually didn't do the math very accurately, but the ballpark was still there, which sometimes is all you need. So that poor overheated engine's been left behind in orbit. We'll have to go and detonate it later on, lest we contribute to Kepler syndrome. Lots of sunshine. That is like nice little high-techy top. It just looks like science. I mean, it should be covered because we're getting, I don't know, I guess there's not much of the stuff as space dust. But on the moon is super dusty. Moon dust gets everywhere. And that's actually really bad. Not simulated in this game, luckily, though. So it's a relatively expensive mission, although we are bringing back all the experiments here, plus the extra batteries and solar panels and stuff. So that's nice, because we don't have to do that. We could have had all the solar panels in another layer over here. And then we could have used the ones that don't retract in, which are cheaper. But I think this will be ultimately a little bit better, a little bit more comfortable. 45 seconds left to this burn. And our thrust weight will improve as we use up more of this fuel over here, which is fine. And yeah, the maneuverability was clearly fine, because it was turning to its node pretty well even when we had the other bit. So, good amount of reaction wheels in here. Very nice. And obviously, when we're actually landing, these guys will be providing some amount of gimbling. Alright, 20 seconds left to the burn. And again, here, there's no reason we have to copy this maneuver. It's mostly just start the burn at the right time, burn prograde, wait until our little blue orbity thing meets the moon, and then we're good to go. But this gives us a ballpark of what to sort of expect and plan for. And like for here, for example, I can start throttling down, knowing that we should hit it anytime now. Good. Kill the maneuver. Okay, so then what I like to do is turn, say, prograde. Again, we could use the SAS here, but let's use the smartass. Focus over here. And so now we're looking at a periapsis of 1.6 million meters, which is quite high. Let me start a slow burn on prograde over here, and we'll see that we actually get closer and closer and closer. We're also pretty equatorial, which is nice. I'm going to keep doing this. And ideally, for the moon, yeah, coming at about 25 kilometers is very nice. If you know for sure you're going to land in a very low area, you can come in a little bit lower. But if you're going to land in one of the more mountainy areas, you're going to want that extra, 3 or 4 kilometers of space. Or in fact, I think the highest mountain is like 7, maybe 8 kilometers high on the moon. So, okay, that's a little bit lower maybe than I want, but I think it's going to be okay. I think we're probably going to be the flats. We're going to look for a flat area, which is probably going to be inside of a crater. That will mean we've got a fair amount of vertical space to play with here. So there you go. So manually tweak that. We can turn off the smartass now. We don't need to worry about locking any particular orientation. A little bit of heat on the engine, but it's not actually that hot. Electric charge is obviously good. Our snack status, noms, still have 55 days left in there. Keep in mind that a day in Kerbal time is 6 hours, but other than that, we're going over there to the moon. Let's go and complete these maneuvers. I'm going to tell you right now, we're not going to land in this. Well, actually, we actually might have plenty of time to land. Irradiant scan. That's new. I did click it, so it should be deploying. There we go. Oh, and we can transmit it for full amount. Irradiant scan while in space high over Kerbin. Kerbin's ocean covered surface results in a fairly low visible light albedo, and its thick atmosphere absorbs most UV and near IR light. So we're figuring out how much light is bouncing off the surface using one of our new experiments. Which one? This one right over here. The Goresat. Excellent. And we'll transmit that. We've got lots of battery power. And actually, we have got, we're generating 6 electric charge per second, which is really good. But it did use up a fair amount. It's using up, it probably needed over 200 electric charge to actually send. Yeah, actually, way more than that, because we used up over 200, despite the fact that we're making 6 energy per second. All right. Hooray for big batteries. And because we're not using TAC, actually, we do need power. We need to use a little bit of electric charge with the USI life support for it to work. They need some snacks, and they need the supplies and the life support here. This is definitely less demanding than TAC, and I'm mostly using it because it's a little bit cleaner making the bases this way. Or at least the documentation is a little bit better. So that's good. We were coming in pretty equatorial, so I'm not really feeling the need. Let's go ahead and kill it for a sec. Take another look at the moon. Yeah, no, I don't have to do any real inclination change. Maybe a little bit. Burn a little normal, come in a little bit higher, because right now we'd be... Yeah, we're not quite equatorial. So we could do a wee bit of a normal burn. Well, actually, our reaction wheels aren't quite as powerful as I thought here. They'll get better when we get rid of this bit, but... We might have wanted to add some extra. I don't think we've got like the really big 2.5 meter ones. So if I burn normal here, so basically I'm burning upwards, so our entry orbit here should rise up. There we are. There, much more equatorial. Makes the landings a little simpler. Need a little less delta V because we're just looking to match the rotation of the moon, and the moon rotates in that direction. So if we're orbiting in the same direction as the moon's rotation, then we don't need to slow down quite as much. So quick save before we time warp. And when it drops us to about 50, that's where I'm comfortable, so I'll just cancel the alarm so it doesn't slow us all the way down. There we go. So we'll cross the sphere of influence change at 50 times. Which is good. We just wait a couple of ticks. Okay. And stop the time warp completely. So yeah, we'll get the high orbit scan. And again, we may as well transmit it. Easiest way to reset that. Atmospheric pressure scans. That we don't want to transmit because it's worth more science if we don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the scan, and then we're going to EVA and collect it. Turn off the smartass. Just use regular stability. So this is the atmospheric pressure over here? It is. So let's get... St. Thomas needs a little bit more EVA experience. TF2 Brum Brum Brum, I believe, has it around here. So we're going to let go. EVA. Just go across the top. This is actually a great little way to EVA on this design. We have to be very careful, though, not to hit the solar panel, which we know is definitely possible. We're going to take the pressure data. They're very fragile and very easy to hit, and we don't actually have a lot of clearance here for that, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But this mission is not really one where we should have to reset a lot of experiments. Grab. Board. Okay, good. Because we have most of it up here. There might be some biome type stuff, which might mean a few more EVAs. There we go. Okay, let's time warp some more. The next thing to do will be add our periapsis, which is an hour and a half away at this point, is we want to be in retrograde so that we can enter a nice little orbit. And whoa, whoa, whoa. Everything's good. Let's go ahead and tell smartass ahead of time that we want to enter retrograde. Now, our retrograde aim won't be the same here as here, but it'll at least help to get us in the right neighborhood, since we do rotate a wee bit slowly. There you go. Right neighborhood enough. Let's just time warp. I'm surprised we haven't had another experiment pop. Oh, I should have emptied the monopropellant out of the tank since we're not doing it. Okay, there's actually a lot of biome stuff here. We're not going to use anything that we can't repeat. So I'm not going to use the materials bays. Oh, I may have screwed up the other experiments. I'm not sure. Take the EV report, grab it, reboard, transmit. I think all the others ran. And I have to collect. Oh, did we finish the quest? That's right, we did have to do some of these, and I should have been checking, because some of them may have not been prompted. Low, low. Okay, so we need to do the soil moisture scan, which we've done. Review data. Can we transmit it? Yes. And we have to do the solar particle. Oh, I didn't bring the solar particle, so I can't complete this quest. We'll have to do another one. I was talking about doing a run of the solar system with the solar particle collector and then returning it home at some point, though. But yes, we're not going to do the goo or anything like that. And we do have to EVA and get the pressure data. We've got how much time? Time to periapsis, 2 minutes. Let's not do it yet. We'll wait until we do our retrograde burn, and then we'll go and collect it. Oh, it's returned at least 2 of them. Oh, so we did complete. Lovely. Wonderful. Okay, I'm just going to time warp a wee bit more. I don't know how long of a retrograde burn we need, but it's not going to be that much. Orbital telescope is nice because we can transmit it for full. And, oh, we lost the EVA possibility. Probably just clipped the edge of a crater. I didn't actually see what the telescope was for. And again, I'm going to not do the material or goo. That's going to be for the surface. But clearly we need to come back here with another ship that's got a bunch of them, or a scientist who can reset them. Because there's a lot of possibility. But we don't have a scientist, so we can't reset those experiments. I can collect the data out of them, but they're still not reusable. And, okay, let's go a little bit more. So I'm going to start... Nope. Just the edge of a crater, I'm sure, is what's happening. EVA? Oh, no, we've got that one. We'll keep it in board anyway, who cares? Okay, let's burn retrograde. We might lower our parry a bit, but that's okay. We can always re-raise it if it's a bit too much of a problem. Oh, we're actually pushing away the periapsis a bit more than we want. We don't want that. We want the time to parry to continue to drop while we're burning retrograde. We don't want to drop too fast because it might mean we started to burn too slow, but we're clearly good now. All right, with about 30 seconds left, let's go again. Time to parry continuing to increase, which means we're not catching our parry if we do that. So, no, we can burn a little, or go a little bit longer. That's probably as much as we want. I'm not going to EVA right now during the burn. Yeah, so now it's dropping, but relatively slowly. Push comes to shove, we might have started it a little too late, but no, it's clearly dropping at a rate of less than 1 second. We're probably going to be fine, even if we surpass it. Actually, we're hitting sort of a balance here, so let's go and bring this down, because what we don't want to do is continue to drop our parry and then never catch it. There we go, our apoapsis dropping nicely. Just waiting for the time to parry to get close. It's just going to be a really short little burn to finish off the apo drop. Boom. Wow, that is a hell of a nice circular orbit. Okay, we have 800 delta V left in this, which would be enough technically to land us as is. So we're going to try to use this as heavily as possible. Nice. As heavily as possible. To aid with our landing before we switch to the next phase. So that's going to be groovy. And we detach it, light the side engines, go in for a landing. That's going to be good. All right, well, we are going to put a cut in here. We're in a nice orbit, good length of a video. We're going to put a cut in here. Next episode, we will go ahead and land. And really, I honestly don't care where we land. Ideally, a flattish part would make things easier. But other than that, I don't care. And I think we'll do it right here. So let me pause while we're in the sunshine. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time.